Healthy feet have a nice space between the toes, a nice flexibility of the joints, of all the joints in the feet. Instead of having that big toe pulled in like this, a lot of shoes push the big toe over. It's very hard to find shoes that don't, but if you can find them and you have the freedom for your big toe to go out like that, that's a really nice thing, and you have the freedom to move your toes. It's pretty important. And the freedom to bend at the ball of your foot. That freedom in shoes to bend at the ball of your foot is pretty important, because if I turn to the side, you'll see when I do that, see what happens to my arch when I bend at the ball of my foot? I get a pretty strong arch there. So in walking, that movement where you bend at the ball of your foot creates quite a strong arch. And in fact, the last place the back foot comes off the ground is at the ball of the foot and the big toe. So when you're standing, instead of having your weight on the outside of your feet towards the outer toes, or instead of dropping it in, you can let it distribute right through the ball of the big toe and right through between the big toe and the next toe, but closer to the ball of the center of the ball of the big toe. That very, very center, right underneath here of the ball of the big toe, that place to have your weight through your foot there and through your foot at the heel really makes a big difference than having it out to the side or having it in from that. And when you walk, that's going to bend at the ball of the big toe and allow a nice strengthening of the arch in walking. Your back foot will bend like this, so when you take a step and this foot is back, when it bends like this in walking, that gives you a very nice tonus of your arch. So in looking for shoes, you want to get shoes that have a bend there and shoes that don't press your big toe in like this, that allow you to have that room of your big toe going out. A lot of people think we have an L-shaped foot. They sort of picture a foot where the leg bones come in back here at the back of the heel. Where you can see here, they really don't. They come in, those leg bones come in. If I hold my hand and I close off the start of the toe bones, they really come in the center of this main part of the foot. And the leg bones distribute the weight not directly to the heel, because they're not attached to the heel. They distribute the weight through this bone here called the talus. And you can see what a wonderful joint that is, what a glide that has. Look at that glide of that joint. You can just see in there that nice smooth joint, giving us a nice release forward of our knee, a nice bend of the ankle. And those leg bones go into the talus, and the talus distributes the weight back through the heel and also forward through the foot. So our heel, which we're used to seeing it with a lot of tendons around it, and it would look something about this width or so, but here if we just look at the bone, then it's over to the side, because all those tendons, particularly the tendons going to the big toe through there, nice strong big toe, goes through here, and the other tendons. And here, the bottom of our heel, the very bottom of our heel, and it would actually be in the center of what we visually see as our heel, this lowest point here. That directs with your weight, that directs a little bit back and down. It's almost like it's not like a chicken foot. We don't have chicken feet, but it's almost like a chicken foot where this heel can actually release a little bit back and down. Instead of getting jammed a little bit forward and up this way, it can release just a nice bit back and down, giving us a lot of freedom in all these joints of our foot. When our foot lands, we should have this nice release of the weight through the bottom of the heel, the center of the heel, out through the ball of the big toe, and all the joints of our feet should have a nice buoyancy and give to them. Look how big that bone is for the big toe. Look how big the bone that goes to the big toe is. That can handle a lot of weight. Those two little bones are like kneecaps there. And you can see when we bend over on our foot how we can have a nice support on those two little bones there, and that really emphasizes the arch. That really gets that arch nice and flexible as we're walking. Most people think when they walk that their legs are walking them, and so they land their weight out in front of them on their feet. You think, well, a foot goes forward and you land your weight out here, but my body's actually back here when I'm landing my weight out there. So that almost puts a brake on things, where I land hard on my heel and it pushes things back into my knees, hard on the knees and hard on the hips. So instead of landing your foot out in front of you with your weight there and your body not over your foot, when you walk, your neck releases, your head goes forward and up, your spine lengthens, your back widens, your knee releases forward, your hip joint releases, and you land with your weight right over your foot. Your body's right over your foot no matter what your pace of walking, which means you end up using your whole foot much more when you walk. And it's much easier on your back. If I go back to the other thing, where I put my feet out in front of me to walk, where my weight lands with my foot out in front of me, you can see what that does to my back. Watch my back in this. You can see how my back ends up pulling back and down, and I get a pressure here by my foot landing out in front of me and the weight going on it there when I'm behind it. It's very hard on people's backs. Instead, when their neck releases and their head goes forward and up and their body lengthens, their foot is going to land directly underneath them. And their weight goes on their foot as it lands directly underneath them, freeing their back, freeing their neck, freeing their head to float up, almost as if it's really their trunk, neck, and head that release up and that lead the walking, as if the legs dangle like jellyfish tentacles underneath them, and the feet have that nice springiness to them.